Hello everyone, I'm Nitin Deckha, and today I'm going to talk about gender and the economy. And what I want you to learn today is how changes in the economy and the job market are gendered. That is, how they affect men and women differently. And what are some of these causes of these changes and the consequences. So let's get started. So in terms of economic change, we've seen the decline of manufacturing and deindustrialization. And why is that? Well, there are a number of reasons. There is globalization and free trade. There is outsourcing of production. And of course, the rise of technology. So what has been the result? So the result is there's a loss of traditional male jobs. You know, the blue-collar jobs, the manufacturing jobs. And during our recent downturn or recession a few years ago, many observers were calling it a he-session because of the largely male casualties of job loss. And so once men, especially more middle-aged men, lose their jobs and become unemployed, they become detached from the workplace. So this makes a lot of unhappy men. But is it only a sad story? No, there are some glimmers of sunshine. So even though there's been a lot of decline and loss of jobs, there's also been growth in the service industries. And these include industries such as financial services and healthcare and education and media and real estate, all sorts of things, where we see more and more job growth. But there is another dimension to this. So unlike the manufacturing jobs where you work with your hands, the service sector jobs demand more and more higher education, and that is why there are more and more people, young and old, coming into post-secondary institutions such as Humber. But what we're also seeing is another kind of gender divide in a way, where we're seeing more female enrollment in the post-secondary fields compared to male. And so if there are more women coming in and then graduating, then you could expect that they're going to have a better shot at those service sector industries. And yet there's still one more other wrinkle in terms of these service sector jobs. So we talked about how the service jobs require more education, but they also require more emotional labor and what some people call emotional intelligence. And by that I mean you have to be more cooperative and communicative. You've got to build relationships, and you've got to work in teams, that kind of thing. Maybe even on the lower end, you should be more deferential. And a lot of these qualities are typically associated with women and girls and might be seen as feminine. Hence, in some ways, if like the traditional male worker was doing manufacturing, you see a growth in these kinds of service jobs. There is a kind of gendered impact because they want more of the emotional and communicative skills, which our society has traditionally socialized in females. So the last bit, I'm just going to wrap it all up and we'll be done. So summing it up, we've seen this decline in manufacturing and masculinity. So here, work with your hands. So not the greatest there. And then the growth in the services in things that require, for example, emotional intelligence and your brain. And so words like communication and even creativity, those kinds of ideas and those kinds of skills are going to be more and more needed. So going forward, you might think the economy is changing, and in a way we're getting away from just the traditional male kind of gendered work into an area where have been traditionally female gendered, and yet that is going to change as well, I think. So Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more segments of Gender Intelligence coming soon. Bye-bye.